Okay, we're 10 years in. I don't know if you guys have learned yet, but I'm
don't
not good
like
at video
platformers.
games.
And you're not changing your ways. Welcome to New Game Plus. This is a retro gaming podcast where three guys spend 7 days playing one old game and then we talk about it. My name's Dustin.
My name is Kenny.
What's up?
He's Nolan, and this is episode 473, and it is a director's episode! But before we get to our glorious director, I do have a question of the week. Jack Black is inevitably playing a role in your favorite video game's movie adaptation. What character is he cast as?
It's going to have to be Ganondorf because that's the only one that makes sense in a Zelda game. But he's Steve from freaking Minecraft. That's real. So, I don't know. Link.
Yeah.
Link. Sure.
Throw the rules out. Just think of a game and say a character.
Yeah.
Nolan, would he not be a better Tingle?
Oh, he would be a fantastic Tingle. I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
He would be perfect as that. But he's like, yeah. And they are making a real life Zelda, apparently. I keep hearing rumors about that. I don't know if it's actually going to happen, but
Epona?
If that'd be funny. If we went more modern Zelda, he could be the mariachi guy
from Breath of the
from
Wild.
Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, but nobody likes that game. So
Oh, is that
That's
the tree?
not true.
No.
Not a tree,
not a tree,
but
is he?
he's tree-ish. Favorite game. I want him to. I'll steal your answer of Final Fantasy VII so that you can't say it.
That's-
He's gonna play Kate Sith.
I mean,
yeah, but yeah,
Nolan, I've got a different one from Final Fantasy VII.
hit me.
Don Corneo.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Like, I think he could actually
Be the villain. Yeah.
Okay,
he,
but-
do that
he
one
could.
really well.
Bear with me here. The Chocobos.
The Chocobos.
All
Like
of
he
them.
voices.
No, he would just be the model. They would hop
my
on his
God.
back and race him.
I wouldn't want this, but a Jack Black as Sephiroth would be something worth watching.
No,
I
it
mean,
would not.
That would completely and utterly ruin that movie. Like,
Jack Black will certainly be in more adaptations. DK, what character he'll be or what genre of movie? Probably a rom-com. Like in our retro game of the week, Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy's Kong Quest.
Overview.
First things first, we'd like to welcome Tins to the show. Tins, would you take a moment, introduce yourself to us and to our community, and let us know why, out of all games, you picked Diddy's Conquest?
Sure. First, thanks for having me, guys. It's a pleasure to be here. I've been in the community for about a year now. I've found you guys, long story short, I've always been quite a gamer, but these last few years, I've really just taken a deep dive into retro gaming. Came across some kind of goated games, if you will. Chrono Trigger and Super Metroid. I discovered those within a month of each other. And I tried to consume those games in other forms of media. Took to Spotify, found you guys, and the rest is kind of history there. Now, Dustin, as you know, I pitched a few games to you to possibly randomize for our game this week, and then I had about 5 games. They were all sequels, Kenny, so they were bound to be bangers.
Absolutely.
Majora's Mask was in there. Some Pokemon games. Yeah, I had some bangers, so it was bound to be good. But I chose Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy's Conquest, because a couple of reasons. But I was looking at that list and I'm like, wait, something's not right here. We haven't played a Donkey Kong Country game on this podcast in almost a decade. That's not okay. It's time to right that wrong. And so I'm like, you know what, Dustin, scratch that. We're not going to randomize. We're going to go with Donkey Kong Country 2.
nice.
So that's how we came to that conclusion.
We've played one Donkey Kong game, right?
And we played a couple more that has Donkey Kong in it,
Yeah, like a Mario Kart, Mario Party.
and
Or-
Smash. right?
Smash Brothers,
Yeah,
but like
a few. But yes, no
Yeah.
Donkey Kong Country, which is mind-blowing because there's at least 3 of them retro-wise that we could potentially play. No director has ever brought it on. No Patreon pool has ever succeeded. I know that they've submitted them.
submitted. Yeah.
They've been in the
Yeah.
list.
And then
That's wild.
And then the randomizer has not been in the Donkey Kong Country favor, but we have finally, after nearly 10 years, we have been able to play one of the Donkey Kong countries, and we are thrilled that you brought it to our community to play together and that you're joining us to talk about it on this special episode.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy's Conquest, which I wonder.
Keep going. It's been
No,
the
you
point's
used to
been
think it
made.
was-
The point's been made.
You used to
No.
think it was Diddy Kong's Quest.
Yeah, but that's not where I was going. I wonder if
Oh.
they regret the naming just in 2025.
It's
Oh,
a great
no.
pun. It's great.
Yes, but that's not what Kenny's saying. He's making
Yeah.
a pop culture reference because he's in the know.
Because of Diddy?
Yeah.
No, they don't regret it, you crazy
Okay.
person.
Well, I wonder.
I did search Diddy Kong pics, and I got, I got
Something else.
I got a
Oh,
mixture.
no.
I really did.
Something else.
Man.
This game, 1995. So we're well before all of that. Developed by Rare, published by Nintendo. This is before Nintendo just consumed Rare and made them their own. Super Nintendo title. And this is the second installment, which is always a good sign, of the DKC series. And the first time that we meet Diddy Kong's girlfriend.
Yes,
Dixie.
not sister. Did you know they were dating?
I definitely always thought sister.
Which it could be both.
No. Well, maybe that's fine in there where they're from.
Right, don't judge.
I
This
think I
game
always
came out-
knew it was his girlfriend, but I think I may have had the manual. I owned the game and stuff growing up, so I knew that somewhere along the way. But yeah, I guess I never thought about the fact that their last names are Kong or whatever.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and they do mount
Yeah.
each other in this game. I don't know if that happens in
oh no,
Oh.
in the original.
This game came out 1 year after the first
Wow.
game, which is crazy. They were
Yeah.
like, hold on, we're onto something.
Let us cook.
Let
Yeah,
us cook.
Oh,
first
God.
one went well, and they literally were like, "Let's serve up more of that." The reason that we have Diddy as the main character here instead of Donkey is because story-wise, they decided it was time for Donkey Kong to be kidnapped.
To become the princess.
Basically, yeah. We got a little role reversal
Also-
here, and
Don't call him Donkey without Kong. It's
No,
it's
call
wrong.
him or Don.
no,
Don's
though. That's too far. I refuse.
This
I
is
will
back when he had a
not-
tie, by the
on
way.
the Kong.
Yeah,
I
not
know, yeah,
happening.
the tie.
Yeah, he's been kidnapped. King K. Rool has
Best villain ever.
monkey napped Donkey, and everything about that sentence feels awkward. And now Diddy and Dixie, or rather, if you're playing the game correctly, Dixie and Diddy, we'll have that whole conversation.
Whoa.
Set
I
off.
think
Yeah, well, we'll get there. Set off on an adventure to rescue Donkey Kong and return things to the way they should be on Crocodile Isle.
Rare has not been too rare on this podcast. Can the 3 of you name a couple of Rare titles that we have played?
Perfect Dark.
We have played Perfect Dark.
007.
Ooh.
Goldeneye.
Those
Yeah.
are the low hanging fruit here. Sorry.
GoldenEye 007. We played a lot,
Can't name
guys.
any others.
Have we?
Yeah.
I'm blanking.
I'll just go
For-
through the list.
Yeah, give us a few.
Conker's Bad Fur Day.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
DK64, of course.
Oh, obviously, yeah.
Banjo.
Banjo-Kazooie, Jet Force Gemini, Battletoads,
Oh.
Cobra Triangle, Marble Madness, and Wizards and Warriors.
nice.
Marble Madness was rare.
Right,
I
some
did
of
not
those
remember
are a
that.
surprise that it's rare.
Yeah, some of those were not a surprise at all. A few of those were like, what in the world?
I also
Well, it's interesting because this game and the country series is really what kind of I think rebranded Rare in people's minds of like, oh, these people make these kinds of games. Whereas like the Marvel ones and some of the other ones came earlier, where like a studio's early titles, you're not going to really hear about those often.
Sure.
Yeah, I think the Country series kind of put them a little more on the map for sure.
Yeah,
At
when
least in
was
Nintendo's
Battletoads?
eyes.
Was Battletoads before this though?
Yeah.
Because Battletoads.
Battletoads was no.
Yeah.
I
But
mean,
Yes.
but this game
That's
was
a few years before, I think.
yeah, but this game was a big deal.
Sure.
Like it won Game of the Year awards. It was the second best-selling game that year, sixth best-selling
Dang.
Super Nintendo Entertainment System game ever. Like overall, it was a
Right.
huge hit. So I don't think solidifying the map maybe or coloring in the country or like make the joke however you want it. The map
Joke.
became mappier with this game.
For sure.
we now have a bonus episode exclusive for those on Patreon.
Episode is not an over-exaggeration. It's a full episode.
And it's an episode that you get to be a part of.
Yeah, it's called Expansion Pack, and semi-regularly, you get to be a part of the conversation, and we're going to debate, and we're going to scream at each
We're
other.
going to talk about
Have
video
arguments.
games. Yeah, we're going to scream mostly, though. That's kind of the point of it.
Yeah, it'll be like goats.
You roast us, we roast you. Find out more information at patreon.com/NGP podcast.
Gameplay.
As Diddy and Dixie Kong, you travel through 52 levels over 8 different worlds. The setup here is nothing new to those of you that have maybe grown up with some of the classic Marios or just platformers of this time. But you have 2 characters instead of just one, which is the same as Donkey Kong Country, but instead of Donkey and Diddy, you are Diddy and Dixie. They each have their own mechanics that differ. I almost said slightly, but kind of significantly.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What
They
that
have like
means-
similar movesets, except for like
Sure.
one thing.
I
What
think
the-
there's subtle differences between the two that can make a big difference.
Oh.
I'll say that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, oh, huge. They're very different feeling characters.
So,
Well, like Dixie's just like, okay, let's just talk about this because as a kid, I was all about Dixie. Of course, you're going to float through the air with her. That's the main standout difference between the two. But when you're kind of speeding through the game, which, not everyone does that, but if you're trying to kind of get like through the levels a little quicker and like with a little more control, I think Diddy's got her beat out. I mean, he's just quicker and he's just very nimble, and I think he can reach further places than you would think, even without the hairspin. I mean, if you do the little cartwheel ledge jump, he can reach. So there's a good difference between the two, I think.
I'm a Dixie boy.
You're a Dixie.
There's nothing
boy?
wong with that. Dixie's cool.
well, that doesn't
I hear-
that shouldn't surprise us. Dixie is
Tails.
easy mode.
It's Tails, actually.
Not
you're
easy
right.
mode, but Tails.
Real.
It's
Like the-
slower.
Well, I mean-
You spin and you fly. And I love Tails. This shouldn't be a shock.
I mean, the real answer should be both, because they designed the game in such a way that, yeah, they do have those subtle differences. And I agree. I think Diddy on ground against an enemy and maybe jumping a platform, besides the flying thing, it feels really solid and really tight. And that's the thing about this platformer. This is like really tight platforming.
Yes.
There's a lot of, and this is what is different than the first game. We've never played it on the podcast, but I have. And this one has a lot more verticality to it, which around 95, I kind of feel like you were mostly going left to right. And there were some exceptions to that, but there's a lot of precision required because of the verticality they add here. And that's something that clicked in my mind this week that it hadn't before. And by the way, I haven't played this since childhood, I think. I think
wow.
it's been that long. Like I've revisited the OST many times, but something that clicked was that momentum plays a huge role in how they design this game and your execution of things. Not like a Sonic momentum, but more like a running start, jump at the right moment and pray kind of style of momentum. And it just works. It makes jumping intense in this game.
Yeah.
Diddy has a cartwheel, and so you can cartwheel into a lot of enemies as long as they don't have any kind of offensive thing up front of the character design. Diddy can also hold boxes or certain items in front of him, kind of like a shield. Diddy can throw barrels, and Diddy, as Tins mentioned, can do this long jump. So I think he's just got a longer jump just in general, but he can do this cartwheel off ledges and jump from any animation in that cartwheel to extend his jump even further. Dixie, on the other hand, has what we've talked about. It's a helicopter spin, tails, right? But it's her, instead of a tail, it's her blonde ponytail. It's still a tail that helicopters around and allows her to hover. She can also hold boxes or certain items, enemies even, but it is not in front of her really like it is for Diddy.
No,
it's a little bit above her.
It's in her hair.
Yeah, it's in her hair, and then she can also throw barrels as well. But did you say, Kenny, that she's a little slower?
I think so. I think Diddy moves a little bit faster, and I think she jumps a little bit higher. So they're just slightly different. But Nolan pointed this out. As different as they are, this really isn't an either-or situation.
Yeah.
Right.
Because this game, even when you're playing single player, even when you're playing by yourself, you're playing as both characters sort of simultaneously. You've only got one active at the time. But unless you've lost a life, which is kind of one of the mechanics they use for having both characters, is you have two of you, and then when you take damage, you go down to one. But you can choose which character to be, and they also interact together. You can pick up one of the other characters and throw them. You can stand on your shoulders to get to a higher place that you wouldn't have been able to get to before. So really the entire game is designed around the fact that these two together are going on this adventure, but it's not as good of a pun if it were to be called Diddy and Dixie's Conquest. So,
Right.
Too long,
but it
already
should be,
long.
because it's a pair of them, and you're working together, and that's really novel.
Kenny, this is just a side question. Do a lot of people, when they play these early platformers, hold hold the run button so that they move faster? Do you?
I should. Do I? No. Did I get in an inordinate amount of trouble with my wife for not making that choice while we tried to co-op play this game together? Absolutely.
Kenny, you walk slowly through these stages without. You don't run?
Well,
I mean,
Kenny,
He's also
That's a
the guy.
given. In a platformer, you gotta hold Y or whatever the second.
You do.
remember
And
how
the
in
more
Mario-
I played, the better I got at it.
But you didn't run.
Okay, we're 10 years in. I don't know if you guys have learned yet, but I'm
don't
not good
like
at video
platformers.
games.
And you're not changing your ways. Nolan, do you also remember in Super Mario World, I think we were playing, he doesn't do the normal jump. He only ever does the spin jump?
he only does spin jump. He spams spin jump, which it's a good jump.
You
but-
know
It's a
how
great
Katy
jump.
Perry consistently makes the wrong decision with anything she does?
like going to space. and
Yeah.
holding
Okay.
flowers.
I feel
Okay.
like that you're
Kenny,
Katy
if you touch
Perry.
your love.
If running slow in video games
Walking.
will get me to
We'll call that
space,
walking.
If walking in video games and being the brunt of all our jokes gets me to space,
Limited
it's
space.
a sacrifice. Sure, it's a sacrifice I'm willing to
Well,
make.
I will actually
What?
allow. I'll be on Kenny's side a little bit
No!
here with this game. With this game, because it is not like Mario where you literally hold it the whole time and it's fine. This game's quite perilous. The enemies are deceptively problems, and if you don't approach them properly or attack them properly, you're going to get hit, and it's really frustrating. So this is one platformer that I'm more okay with someone going a little slower, but I mean, you do have to run.
You can tell the game was designed to keep your momentum going. I think that's even something that developers talked about. Like, we want this to be a momentum heavy game, but when you do fail at this game, and you will fail because it's hard,
No.
the answer is to slow down and to be careful
Yeah.
Sure.
when you can.
Yeah.
You're collecting bananas in these stages, just like in
real life.
Just like in real life. No, like that's your coins, your rings
Sure.
in this game. There are also other collectibles. It's not as bad as DK64, which we reference often. This is one of those games that's a very healthy balance of what you're actually collecting.
Yeah.
So you have your tokens that you're collecting, and you're also collecting letters to spell out Kong. And you have that in every stage,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And crim coins. That's the only other thing. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's your bananas, which are your coins. You get still 100, right? And you get a life. Your Kong letters, KONG, for a free life. A DK coin on every stage, and crim coins that you use for a certain currency to get to a bonus to get to bonus stages.
And red balloons.
Well, there's the Kong,
They're not
the
collectibles.
Kong family coins as well, which is the currency to like save and like buy a ticket for Funky Slice and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that's what you're talking about, Dustin, right?
No, the crim.
Well,
I think
there's-
crim coins are different. That's just for the golden
Yeah.
barrels. But I
Yes.
totally agree with you. It
got
just sounded like a lot when we just went through that, but it is not. It is not DK.
It's not, it's
It is not DK64.
And green balloons.
You're not collecting balloons. That's a crazy thing to
you
say.
are.
You're collecting
That's-
those. No, they're not
Other
even on
than,
every
like, the
stage.
Lost World, other than the Lost World, nothing is barred for like behind the collecting anything. Like you can just finish.
Yeah,
the
it's
stage,
like a
finish
hub
the
world
levels. Like
situation.
it's not a collectathon, but there is reward for collecting things. for sure.
Yeah, it is not. But you, and by you I mean me, and I mean most people to some degree, will die a lot, and you will need to collect lives if you're going to make
Sure.
it through this game, because
Absolutely.
you're going to rack up, if you're doing it well, multiple extra lives, and you're going to want to have had them.
It's a challenging platformer, I think. It's not
Yeah,
the
I think-
hardest of all time, but it's a pretty solid challenge.
Yeah, I think it's a nice, healthy balance. I really think it's just one of those, like, if you take the time to, like, I mean, you're going to die a little bit, sure, but if you take the time to learn these levels and, like, learn the mechanics and controls, like, it's definitely doable. And it's never, there might be one or two completely blind jumps, but for the most part, it's never unfair. And, I mean, I can honestly say that.
I would encourage people that haven't played this, that are coming to it the first time, to your first playthrough, to just try to get to the end of the game, to beat each stage, because there are really two major challenges I think for this game, and it can be broken down further, but it's beating the game and then it's completing the game, and those are two very different expectations for the game.
yeah.
Like the stages are challenging. I think there's honestly, probably out of so many of these platformers, the arc here of increased difficulty, I think, is near perfect, because it starts relatively easy for most people, and then by about
Correct.
World 3 it has increased in difficulty, and then end game, the last few stages, will make you pull your hair out. But beating the game is one kind of difficulty. Completing the game, so I think the only thing that counts to completion is the DK coin and the bonus stages in each level. If you
Require that currency.
the some of the worlds do, but yes, you've got to get a DK coin. There's only one DK coin in every stage, and then there's one or two, maybe sometimes three, but one or two bonus levels in each stage that sets it apart, because finding those are often obtuse, and completing those are not generally too difficult, in my opinion, although some of them are unfairly difficult. But that's a whole nother level of like you'll beat this game in, I don't know what, 5-6 hours, but then completing it without a guide is going to take you twice as long to figure all that out.
Which is how it should be.
Yeah.
I think the secrets and the bonus stages are really thoughtful in how they place them in this game. You're rewarded more for like paying attention than brute forcing exploration.
Trust the
which
bananas.
Yeah, that's good advice.
They'll lead you in the right direction for sure.
And like that and the varying like mini games of rooms.
Yeah.
Like the first one, Kenny in his first play was like, "Oh yeah, I love these things. Oh, it's gonna be." He's like, "I'm not gonna be good at it," and it was over in like 2 seconds.
Yeah,
it's like
they're
finding a
very
coin or
brief.
whatever.
So easy.
But they changed some.
They're only it's like get to the end in 20 or 30 seconds, or collect the stars, or defeat all enemies. That's basically what it is in each one. But they all do have like a unique kind of challenge there. But they are brief, and it's a
fun little mid-stage,
fun little excursion.
challenge.
Yeah.
It's great. And so yeah, I agree with what you said. The 2 challenges being beat the game, which is its own difficulty, but then there's so much more game if you want to go back through, and I think it's perfect.
Yeah, the variety here is crazy. Not just in things to explore, but also just in level design as well. Like the platforming is very straightforward. You're going to be doing the same thing a lot of times, but it never feels like you're doing it in the same way that you've done it before. They use an element that they introduce, these shooty barrels, and then they put a twist on them. Now they're going to be a shooty barrel, but they're going to twist, and you have to time them. And
it's going to shoot you at an enemy,
right?
And you have to wait for it.
And then suddenly you've got barrels, but it's its own puzzle, and now you're working your way through a maze. And like they just take the basic elements that they've used in this game and they compile them in such thoughtful and diverse ways that it. I don't know. I feel like this is the bar for me on like level design that is thoughtfully engaging and unique and different in a platformer.
I've got here. I'll go ahead, Nolan.
No, I was just agreeing.
Oh, I'll just put here. It's almost perfect level design, and I think it was one of the Mario games that you guys went over, and you talked about how it teaches the player so well. It might have been the very first Mario game. I think this game does that so well. Like when it introduces a new mechanic, it gives you the simplest, most basic way to use that, and then it ramps up, like you said, Dustin. It scales up almost seamlessly in this game. It's really, really well thought out.
Yeah. And if you do find yourself struggling, there are a lot of friendly little special areas that can help you along. I think this is one of the things that sets these games apart from like maybe the Mario platformers, because you've got Funky Flights or Swanky's Bonus Bonanza or Wrinkly's Kong College. But some of these areas you can pay a couple of coins. Some of them are free, and it will give you particular stage advice, or it will give you game advice, or it will tell you what buttons to use in particular situations, or to look for secret walls that you can break through. So even if you're not catching on the natural explanation that the game is giving you, and I agree, Tins, it does really well at that, you can get it written out for you word for word, telling you exactly what to do.
And if that's not enough to get you through this game, you're also going to find allies scattered throughout. Little animal friends stuck in boxes that are going to give you superpowers well beyond your monkey abilities to let you run around and fight enemies, to let you create your own platforms midair, to let you swim around and fight underwater enemies more effectively, to let you get mad hops, like all sorts of things.
Mad hops?
You can't tell me that Snake doesn't give you mad hops.
No, it doesn't.
They're great. They're friends. They're cute. They have amazing animations, and they give you a whole nother way to play the game. Again, more variety, and it's just so welcome.
They are your animal friends. If you like Yoshi, well, here's 10 different kinds of Yoshis, is the idea. Real quick, let's go around what's everyone's favorite animal companion. Which, by the way, maybe, Kenny, you mentioned it there, but sometimes you're riding on them. Sometimes you become them. So it's a different kind of experience. And sometimes you can do both with the same. Which one, let's just go around the table. Which one's your favorite out of the animal friends?
Swordfish.
That's so hard.
You mean Echo the Dolphin?
It's swordfish. Because underwater stage, which I like the underwater stages in these games, especially this one, but it just makes it so much. It's just like a quality of life thing to just be able to ride on that and run into enemies.
It's also, his name's Ungard.
Names?
Ungard.
Yeah.
Ungard, yeah.
Which is
Oh,
great.
no.
I'm bad at favorites, but I got to go with Rattly just because, like, if you look in the manual, he's got a little backstory. So he's like from that island that they're on, and it's been invaded by the Crims or whatever, and it's Radley's kind of teaming up with the Kongs to kind of stick it to the man, and so he's kind of rebelling against the Crims.
He's the rattlesnake.
I like
Rattlesnake.
Radley.
The rattlesnake.
Yeah,
Okay.
Rattlesnake. Yeah,
he's the jumping
Well, actually, my answer.
spring resistance fighter. That's great.
looks nothing
What's
like
the
a
spider's
rattlesnake.
name?
Squitter.
Twitter.
And
I like.
He's
Squitter.
the worst.
Yeah.
No,
Absolutely.
he has
is the
shoes on every
best.
foot.
Oh, he has shoes
He's
on.
awesome.
That's
On
actually
every
a fair
single
point.
of his
fair
little
point.
thingies.
Fair point.
he's absolutely my answer and is the best, and you can't do that.
Oh, that's your answer, Kenny. Okay.
No,
It's funny. I've got here, guys. I've got a question. Which animal buddies are you guys? And I actually wrote down my answers. And it's funny, Dustin. I guess I got you pinned wrong because I got you down as Twitter.
what?
Oh,
I
Look,
hate.
associate you with red. It's the red.
I hate his web trying to get the webs placed properly and trying to
a little
navigate
janky.
around them,
but the
especially
whole game's janky.
near the end game where you have to use him in a limited amount of time to get to certain places, and you don't have much control over the web. You can just kind of like it goes left or right, and then you can control it a little bit up. There's
So what? You're into squawks and just like parroting around?
well, he's great. He's spitting out what
Yeah, that's his
what is he
Eggs.
spitting at
They're
everything?
I'm
Actually,
assuming they're
eggs.
eggs. Yeah.
They're eggs?
'Cause
Yeah.
No,
it's
that's
a bird.
more
Why he's
disturbing.
spitting out his own eggs, but yeah.
Oh, you're right, Kenny. Birds spit eggs out of their mouth? What are you talking
In
about?
this game, they do.
I mean,
Don't say, oh, he's a bird. That's the
It's-
opposite place that the eggs come out.
birds using eggs is way more thematic than other things that exist.
I don't think I'm not going to look it up right now, but there's no way that's eggs. There's definitely like seeds or something like that. But we won't spend our time doing that right now. But we can. Mine's probably the swordfish, which was Nolan's original
Swordfish is so
answer.
good.
Yeah, it is so good.
Okay, Dustin, I've got a real quick ask. We've talked about the animal buddies, and maybe you guys were getting there to enemies or whatever. I got to ask, did the bees bother
That's
you this week?
really funny, Tins, because I was about to say we can all at least agree that the Zingers are the worst thing in this video game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it
Declaw.
traumatized me as a kid. I hated when I was playing. I was like, not this part.
And then they
Like,
make some of them red where you can't even defeat them, which are even worse. But they are awful. I also not only are they annoying to deal with, I think their hitboxes are actually atrocious. Some of the hitboxes in this
they're
game are
wrong.
just not great in the first
Yeah.
place, but this one is like a box around it.
Yep.
So it makes it even
Yeah.
more difficult and is incredibly frustrating to platform around.
dude. Yeah,
Yeah,
that
if I
section of
had
the game
one-
is actually super frustrating.
Yeah, if I had one not major complaint, but one complaint, I think the hitboxes are a little unforgiving at times. And yeah, I
Yes.
think the bees, definitely play into that for sure.
They are certainly not fun, but I love the enemy variety. I think this game, there's so much character on each of these games. Here's the thing. We recently played a game that the enemies were all kind of cute. I think it wasn't just last week's game. Not Quark, Wonder Boy and Monster World. You know how they had big eyes and they were kind of all cute? Yeah. This game is a little bit like that, and that they're all animal based, or the enemy base, whatever the crocodile character race is. In this fantasy land.
Yeah.
But they all are I don't know, they're all chunky sprites, and I don't know, they're somewhat cute. Well,
A lot of character.
You've got these little crocs that are, that you can't roll into because they're biting down. You've got just a whole variety of enemies here. I thought the enemy variety was and is exceptional because you deal with them in different ways.
Yeah. Oh, and the blurry line between where does the level end and the enemy start is so great. You have enemies that help you navigate the level, that you're literally jumping on or bouncing on, or needing to use them as part of the way you're platforming. You have enemies that do things like reveal some area underwater when it's dark and you can't see, that like the only way to light up that area is like through sight provided by one of the enemies. They're just so smart about integrating the world design and the levels and what you're trying to do with the enemies and their capabilities, and the way those things, it's so cohesive and well thought through. It's excellent.
I think the world does feel a little bit alive. Maybe not like quite as much as a game like Super Metroid or something, but yeah, it does feel very like interactive, and like the levels are kind of alive themselves for sure.
What about bosses? I think that Donkey Kong Country 1, if I remember correctly, had some bosses, but in this game they really stepped it up, in my opinion, just in the variety of bosses and how you fight them. Did you guys have a favorite boss or a standout that you wanted to call out?
Creepy Crow.
Creepy Crow.
Yeah, I like Creepy Crow which I hated him growing up because he was like super tough. But I like him just because it's kind of like bringing it all full circle. It's the first boss, but like a pirate ghost or whatever. And the boss itself is kind of like a mini level. There's like a little bit of level, like platforming in there.
Yeah, because it is reused. It is, I say reused. It is that same first bird boss, right? But it's in ghost form. Yeah. But they change it up.
They're all interesting. There's not tons of them. There's not 8 of them, right? I don't think there's one at the end of every world.
I think,
but
because some of them have the minecart.
I think there's only one that is truly remarkable. I think King K. Rool is such a good boss design and fight, and the best. Well, I'll go ahead and say it. It is a slight spoiler alert, but you can fight him a second time, and that fight is just so much fun because you're having to use everything you've learned in the game so far to dodge all of his shots.
Yeah.
And then eventually you'll get a cannonball that you can throw back into his gun when it Kirby's it up, and you've got to do that a lot of times. But the thing about the bosses in this game, and even in the first game, is they all operate differently. They all have a different shtick or gimmick going on. Even the bee fight here, which is so crazy. I think you fight the bee as the bird. You're the bird, and you're having to
spitting eggs. It's eggs. I'm telling you.
That's crazy.
I just looked at it.
At the bee. So like they all operate differently, and that's always great. I always like to point out when it's not just a different looking boss that you just jump on its head 3 times. It's different here.
Yeah, it's absolutely different, and I think the variety is great. I liked the lava boss, the sword.
It's just a big sword.
Cleaver killing or something.
Yeah.
Cleaver, yeah. But it's just great because oftentimes, yes, it is, all right, what in this stage can I find to pick up and throw at the boss? But they always make it clever. It always fits with what you're fighting, what enemy you're fighting. It's so good.
Okay, let's move to aged.
The pre-rendered graphics of this game hold up way better than you would expect. And honestly, I can't name a ton of games that even tried to do this sort of thing.
Final Fantasy VII?
Dude, no, I actually thought of Final Fantasy VII, but that was PlayStation 1.
Sure.
This is SNES.
Right, early.
Like, there's charm in the slight jank of it. It was early, them trying to do this. So if you like really look in some of the interiors of the Kong's houses or like the stores, you'll see they tried, but it's so detailed and very expressive. And that's what really stuck with me with this game growing up, was just how different it looked from other platformers and other games at the time. And I think it holds up really well.
It is funny that we both thought of Final Fantasy VII and then think it's so far removed because it is on a different console, but it's only like a year or two after this game. So they're somewhat contemporaries. But and it's because of my Final Fantasy VII experience probably, but I have always loved, if not preferred, some of those pre-rendered backgrounds. Good. I think because even Legend of Dragoon did that. Like there are, you can have such intricate detail at an early stage in the game.
Yeah.
That looked so good for the time, and I
Impressive.
think even looks good for today. Yeah, I think the graphics, the backgrounds are a masterpiece. Guys, honestly, for how small this cart is and what you can put on it, and what they were able to put on it, some of these stages have 3 or 4 layered backgrounds. The B stages, like the whole
Magic.
honeycomb stage, is oozing. And it is, even in some of the like honeycomb shapes back there, you've got lounging bees or something.
Yeah.
Like, it is just a fully realized environment, and it is remarkable.
And because they did that pre-render, it allowed them to then kind of pop off on the foreground animations. If you pay attention to some of these animations, dude, like some of the ghosts like flying through, it's flowy and like way above anything else in class on the SNES. Like, it's a really smart way to do this. And like, I think I can see, and I don't know the history behind this, but I bet at the time, other developers were like, y'all are going pre-rendered on a SNES card. Like, why? Like, it's going to look so bad. And what ended up happening is you have one of the most unique looking games ever.
Yeah.
Like, it's so
I
good.
think it looks fantastic still to this day. I've seen people say that like the graphics of like really any of the country games like hasn't aged well, and I think that's insane. It looks phenomenal.
They're beautiful.
I like that you all made a comparison to Final Fantasy VII, because I've got here background tip decks look like PS1 graphics in the underwater levels. Like I don't know if you would call it parallax scrolling, it's because it's kind of going up and down, but like the different, like if you, as you're swimming up and down, like the deck levels, like it doesn't look like Super Nintendo. It just looks like they worked magic in there somehow. I mean, it's just unreal, actually.
Absolutely gorgeous, and I don't say any of this to disagree with y'all. I think this is a great looking game. I did in a couple of places feel the age, not in like graphics design or quality, but almost in just like frame rate kinds of issues. It does feel a little choppy at places where the graphics are kind of like jumping around. It's not super smooth. Again, this is 1995 on the Super Nintendo. It shouldn't. It did everything that it could. It 100% delivers. But when you're playing it today, there are moments where you're going to feel how old it is, but you're still going to appreciate what they've done.
And one other thing I'll say that you get because of the graphics is a really, really effective theming of this game. It's pirate ships, haunted forests,
swamps,
like
volcanoes,
the bramble maze, all that tonally just jumps out of the screen at you. It's such an effective way to theme this game. Like when I think of when I think of this game, I'm like, oh yeah, deep pirate theme in like the best way. Like
yes.
And that theming doesn't stop at the visuals. It goes
Let's
on.
talk about it.
Yeah, it goes on to this soundtrack, which is superb.
Aged.
Nolan, you said Stickerbrush. Let's just go ahead and talk about Stickerbrush. In your all's Elements episode for Donkey Kong Country, you said Stickerbrush is the best video game song of all time. And I cannot disagree with that. I can't disagree with that, man.
I stand by that.
It's so good.
Go ahead, Dustin.
I mean, it's not. It is good. On the last episode, you said this one had all of the tracks, and it doesn't. It doesn't have Aquatic Ambience. That's in Donkey Kong Country.
Country 1.
I compared the two OSTs this week and listened to them all the way through. Now, admittedly, I'm more familiar with the OST from Donkey Kong Country, and I played that one more in my history, so that's a big part of it, if not the main part of it. But I still prefer that OST to this one. I do firmly agree with you. This is top tier, remarkable.
It's the same guy.
Right.
So it's fine.
Amazing,
it's fine to say that.
exceptional. And Stickerbrush Symphony is one of the best tracks on this OST, but I don't even think it's the best one. There are, I guess I didn't write it down,
to pick from.
but there are
Forest Interlude.
There are a couple
I'm gonna go ahead and say it for you.
on here that are really good. The thing that David Wise, I'll just call him Davey, does.
Why? No.
The thing that he does is, yes, he creates symphonic masterpieces, but he does it in a way that is so it is heavy on the ambiance. He is creating, like, for some of them, there's not even much music going on as, like, creating a tone for the stage that you're in. And it's remarkable from the boss. I know. It doesn't make any sense how they're able to get all of this on the
goat.
And I am partial to the sounds of the Super Nintendo, but you could tell he was very familiar with the capabilities of the hardware he was going to do.
For sure.
And designed with that in mind. A lot of times people will just like, we're just making music, you know, like I'm going to just like compose this piece and now let's like see how it sounds. This is so thoughtful that 100% he was a master of working with the hardware that he was doing to get the sounds that he wanted. And it's great, and it doesn't even stop at the music. The sound effects are on point too, and some of the sounds that you're getting in the musics are the sounds that are happening in the world and the interactions with the elements. The whole thing is just so cohesive. It's insane.
I have a fun fact about Stickerbrush Symphony. David composed that on like a very cutting edge synth module at the time. And it almost didn't make the game because it was so mellow, Dustin, and had so little like actual music going on. And Rare worried that it would not fit the tone of that. I mean, it's in the bramble level where there's thorns everywhere. It's a very frustrating stage, but it's very difficult.
That's what they always do. They put the best music on the most frustrating stages.
And he argued that the contrast would make the level more memorable, and that dude was right. Yeah. So that's a little. He's great.
Dustin, I gotta say, I'll give you the fact that I think the first game overall has just more like good songs. Like it's overall a better soundtrack, but I think the highs are higher in this game. And I just wanted to. That's my take on it.
I can see that. You know, at the beginning of this game, you're given options. You can you can play single player, which we all did this week, or you can play a 2-player contest or 2-player team. Contest takes turns to see who can finish the most levels in the shortest amount of time, and team takes turns playing. You know, one controls Diddy, one controls Dixie, and you can swap and control. So you're not playing at the exact same time, but you're you're swapping and playing the other character. Both cool options, both options not going to be very accessible to a lot of gamers today.
I think not the main focus of
the main focus of the game.
Yeah,
it's not a multiplayer.
It's cool
because you get to play both characters as you're playing single player. It's fine. Yeah. Or you can be like me and my wife, who played almost exclusively together this week in 2-player mode, which really meant we would swap to whichever player she was playing, and she would just carry me through the game. So it works both ways.
Your wife really is better than you at this platforming video game.
Significantly.
She
might be the best one on this call at this video game. This was like her.
I'm not. I'm pretty.
This was her bread and butter growing up. So like she knows it well.
That is a discredit to how good Tins is at this game. And Nolan, you're kind of shocking me because historically you are the best platformer in this podcast. I
know, and I know why this is. This game's janky. We haven't really mentioned that.
I don't agree with you.
I absolutely have always
janky
thought
is
that
crazy.
DKC2 is jank on purpose. It's the way they designed the game, and it feels vastly different than other platformers that I'm good at.
That's the problem. I don't think it's janky. I think you are so familiar with Mario exclusively, and this is a different experience.
But I'm not like goated at Mario or anything.
Did you grow up with any of the country games, or you might have said that already?
Yeah, both the first two. I never really messed with the third.
Well, there is a series here. We've talked about it, of course. There's Donkey Kong Country 2, Donkey Kong Country 3, which is the last one on the Super Nintendo. And then there's DKC Returns that came out in 2010.
Yep. Amazing.
And then most recent... I am so confused because I thought Tropical Freeze was a new game for the Switch. That is not true. It was it came out in 2014 for the Wii U.
Yeah.
That's where I first played it, and then I got it. No, that is where I first played it and only played it. And that's Dude, Tropical Freeze is even better than
Solid.
Returns. It's amazing.
It's so good. It's
I don't know.
amazing.
I didn't like
Vegas
it.
Live came back for the soundtrack.
I also
Did he?
thought it was a Switch title.
Yeah, that's what makes it. That's partially what makes it so
I didn't
good
know
because he came back for the soundtrack, and if you pay attention, it's pretty much all the music from the first 2 games, but like reimagined and redone, and it's
So
so
good.
good.
So smart. The boss design in that we'll wait
Yeah,
a
that's a
few
different
years.
game.
Yeah,
A lot of
and
years.
and get onto that game.
About 4 or 5 years.
when it's time. But it's so good.
Sure.
Cannot believe that game is kind of almost available. I mean, 4 or 5 years, but if you want a copy for your Super Nintendo, loose, not a problem. Only $23. But if you do want it complete in box, I'm not going to tell you just to make people mad. No, just kidding. It is $84 complete and in box. If you want it,
Not bad.
but if you want it new, it's $700. And
Popular title.
and if you and if you want it graded, it's just $1,500.
Yeah, that's bad. Don't do that. Don't grade it.
Yeah, just get it loose. That's not that
Loose.
bad for a loose
on.
cartridge.
Final thoughts.
At the end of each and every one of our episodes, we determine whether or not the game gets our vote for New Game Plus status, which is our general thumbs up or thumbs down, requires 2/3 of the vote generally to swing one way or the other. Swing, monkey. This time, we are voting, and it will require the majority. We don't typically vote for our guest episodes, our director episodes, like to put that aside so that... because our very first guest episode was a game we all hated. And so we don't typically do that. However, Tins was on his knees begging and pleading that we would, and didn't fear that we would do anything crazy here. But we will see. Kenny, what did you think of Diddy's Conquest?
Here is my crazy thing. It's crazy to me that this game is about monkeys. Because when I look at Donkey Kong Country 2, all I see is the goat.
Wow.
I kid.
That's a bar.
I'll stop monkeying around.
Okay.
All right.
This game is good.
You're pushing.
That is known. The end.
Word.
No,
So NGP.
well, hold on. No, because I would imagine the first letter of all of that spells like Kong or something
There's no
ridiculous.
way.
No, but that'd be amazing. And I should have done all of those things. This game deserves that level of effort. Yeah, in GP. I didn't know that we were voting, but like certainly. So yes.
That's bananas. I'll go next. It's an excellent game. I didn't play it correctly growing up.
Explain.
Y'all know that I'm a completionist and always have been, and I would early on trying to play it on native hardware, native saves, which actually is a little bit frustrating because when you turn off the system and come back, you don't have the lives that you saved up, and there's just a lot of problems there. And the saves are kind of sporadically placed and everything like that. It's not the best, but I would try it. My main thing back then, which is so problematic, especially now, is I had to get all of the KONG letters. I thought that was part of the collection. And it is, but it's not important. That's just giving you an extra life. But to me, it was like, I've got to have it spelled each time. And so if I would ever go too far and get the K in the end, but not the O, I was done for. And that's not how you should play these games. You should just play them as is, like I said, the first time through, and then you should come back through and try to complete it. I have a lot more experience with the first game, and I've 100%ed or 101, whatever it is for that game, the first game. I had never beaten this second game, certainly never completed it until this week. I put in the time, the effort, and the work, and I got full 102% completion.
Oh,
And
snap.
Nice.
so all of the coins, all of the bonus
GGs.
stages, extra boss at the end. There's a perfect amount of extra game here at the end for those that want the extra challenge, and an extra boss at the end on a 95 platformer. They just did too much. They knew what they were doing. They shot for the stars, and they collected all 100 of them. It is an excellent top tier, probably one of the top 5, also easily top 10 Super Nintendo games of all time. Thumbs up for me.
Nice. Yeah, I agree. It's one of the best games of all time, and it's aged well because it never tried to do too much. It doubled down on what it was really good at from the first one and just made it insanely better. The impact of the game cannot be understated. It is been in the conversation for all these years, and revisiting it again and like giving it a true play. I mean, you can't even really find anything to complain about. I can't, at least. Just more appreciation for what they were able to pull off in '95. Literal GOAT status, NGP, or you have no idea what you're talking about.
All right, Tins, do you have any idea what you're talking about? What's your final word?
I might have an idea. I mean, it's all been said. You guys have said it. Other people have, numerous times, praised this game, rightfully so. So, I mean, there's nothing really I can say that hasn't been said, but I think it's nothing short of a platforming masterpiece, and I don't say that lightly. I think it was made by a team who really knew and cared. They knew what they were doing and they cared about what they were doing. I think this game I think it's poetic. I mean, I actually got emotional replaying this game, reveling in its greatness. And that might be fueled a little bit by nostalgia, but there was just kind of like, I almost had like a Zen moment. And I'm sure it was probably on a Stickerbrush level or something, but yeah, it's just such a beautiful game. And the last thing I want to say is I've always adored and loved this game, but I've never had the cojones to acknowledge it for what it truly is. And I think it's my favorite game, tied with Super Mario World and Ocarina of Time. So yeah, I think everyone should play this game, or not. Well, gamers and non-gamers, everyone should play a Donkey Kong game at least once in their life. Donkey Kong Country specifically. Yeah, I think it's iconic. I think Donkey Kong is as important and maybe even as big as Mario. Yeah, go play these games.
The games you mentioned are legends for a reason, which means that Donkey Kong Country 2 is New Game Plus certified. But what did you think? On our YouTube poll, kind of surprisingly, I'll explain, 86% said yes, 2% said no, go play something else, and 12% have never played it before.
Sounds right.
We have had a much higher yes on some of the greats, like a Mario or something, in the 92, 95%. Here, 86 is quite low for a game of this status, in my opinion.
I mean, there's only 2% saying no. I think
that's what's
yes,
accurate.
As great as this game is, it's not quite as known and quite as mainstream as some of those other ones that you've hit. It's certainly popular, and those 16% or whatever the number just was, 12%, I forgot what you said, I'm a goldfish, they should fix that, and then the next time we take this poll, the numbers will accurately reflect what they should.
We won't do it again.
Maybe a record-breaking amount of community members wrote in commentary this week, played along with us.
Whoa.
I'll only be able to feature a few of them, but please go read all of the great words that everybody had to say. Garlisle said, I'll say there's like little improvements to be had, like the level select being a little unnecessarily clunky when revisiting, and some secrets for full completion earning a side eye. But really, it's the sort of game I have to nitpick because it doesn't have any major flaws. DKC3's still better, though.
What a take. I've never heard anybody say that.
Garlisle is convinced that Donkey Kong Country 3's setting is Canada, and so Garlisle has to go with that.
He's got some lore there.
Bro Jim said, this is interesting, I played DKC2 for the first time this week.
Whoa.
Oh, so fresh eyes.
How did you manage to go this long?
It is a wonderful example of the pinnacle of Super Nintendo platformers. Wonderful tone, great visuals, great soundtrack. However, this has to be the most overhyped game I've played since Final Fantasy VI. Don't get me wrong, this is a fun game, Don't get me wrong, this is a fun game, worthy of your time, but the overtures of perfection are misplaced. As iconic as the visuals are, they do at times make it difficult to see what you are doing. I don't feel the precision I'm used to from this generation growing up with Mario and Sonic. I'm having fun, but I never felt any desire to continue once I hit a level I'd restarted several times due to my lack of skill. This is an easy NGP, but I guess I just wanted to present a saucer for the hot tea, not to cancel the whole party, but to simply say this is not God's gift to platforming to me.
It is.
Well,
It is.
it's a gift for everyone else.
I don't know what he wants in the game, I guess, is what I would say to that.
I don't know. Nolan's the one that said it's clanky, or clunky,
Janky.
or what? What a
I never
janky.
said Clanky.
Clanky
Yeah.
Kong.
Yeah.
Clanky's the name of one of the monkeys.
Clanky is a character.
Panda said DKC2 is the Donkey Kong Country game for you. This is my first time playing DKC2. Wow, and it did not disappoint. The platforming was challenging but rewarding. The different mechanics from Diddy to Dixie were fantastic. The hidden collectibles throughout the levels made it worthwhile to explore instead of just completing the levels as quickly as possible. Also, the animal companions along the way are amazing. They also did not monkey around when it came to the soundtrack. I have never listened to it and was incredibly impressed. I even listened to the OST in the car, which I never do. Easy NGP for me. Can't wait to finish the game soon.
You should. Dustin's right. That last fight's really, really good.
It's also
really
worth completing. Here's the thing. Look, it's worth completing in 1996, 97, 98 if you're having a summer or whatever. I know most of us aren't built that way anymore, so pull up a guide that just tells you where the bonus areas are. So, like, I didn't have a walkthrough telling me every step of the stage, so I was still exploring and figuring it out for myself, but it would tell you where the bonus areas or the coin was located.
Like the missable stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that certainly helped.
Yeah.
And then finally, I'm Club said, I'll start by saying this. I'm not monkeying around when I say that Donkey Kong Country 2 has the best video game soundtrack of all time.
Yeah.
This is
yeah.
David Wise's peak soundtrack, and every song is an absolute masterpiece. Outside of the stellar music, this album disguised as a video game houses one of the greatest 2D platformers of all time. Every level is fun and challenging. The art aesthetic is visually stunning. The gameplay is tight and responsive. And did I forget to mention, the music is also phenomenal. DKC2 may be a little difficult for a casual gamer to finish, but it stands, in my opinion, as the best 2D platformer of all time. NGP to the top of Crocodile Isle and back for me.
And see, I'm not going to argue with someone that says that about it being the best 2D platformer, because it just oozes with charm, and it's so set apart from the rest of those.
It is set apart
at that time. So
yeah. Really having those two characters that really shifts up the gameplay in some fairly major ways. For now, we're going to set aside Donkey Kong Country to Diddy's Conquest, and we are going to randomly select the next game that we're going to be playing for the next 7 days from our Retro Master list. While Kenny's yawning, I'm going to spin the randomizer. We're going to be playing a 2001 action platform video game.
yes.
Okay.
It was developed by WayForward Technologies and published by TDK Media Active.
No.
We have to. It's our job.
Okay.
It is on a handheld console.
In 2001.
Yes.
Okay. Maybe.
Game Boy Color.
See.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which I don't typically like. The game centers on a character, not even the protagonist, from the Casper the Friendly Ghost series.
What?
For the next 7 days, we are going to be playing a game called Wendy Every Which Way.
So 2 games with puns in the name, back to back.
Oh, it is!
But Wendy's the girl from Casper.
Wendy, it must be that blonde little girl from Casper.
We've played a Casper game before.
We have. This is our second. We played more
one?
Casper games than Donkey Kong Country games.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is
whatever.
Wendy, and Kenny, for your sake, it's Every Which Way, and the witch there is, witchy.
Halloween.
Well, find a copy of Every Which Way of Wendy. Every Which Way played along with us this week.
Go to Wendy's this week and get a burger, and then join us in Discord by going to discord.gg/newgameplus.
Take your burger and hop onto patreon.com if you want to support your favorite retro gaming podcast. You'll be like Tibbs, Thibs, to Hibbs, whatever your name is. Thanks for upping your patronage, and I'm sorry for butchering your name. We want to say thank you, of course, to our director level supporters, Bro Jim, Siegfried, Steve Hall, and of course, now, mainly and primarily, Tens. Thanks for giving us the excuse to play this game.
I
Sharing
will
some
say,
of your time with us, for giving us your support.
While you're right here, and I rarely interrupt you, if you've been keeping track, we have had a healthy amount of directors recently. We have, starting this year, been more firm, and we are only doing one director episode per month. And so we've got next one that's taken. Steve Hall is our next up and coming. But we do not have the one after that. So this is your time to hop in if you're interested. Obviously, no pressure. That's a huge commitment.
Pressure.
We also want to thank those of you who are producer level supporters as well. There's many of you, including Alex, Marley, Anton, and Ben, Cody, Craig, Daggany, Dan Willett, Donner Party Bus, Garlisle, Hallex, Harold, Hey Brother, Jay Robert, Jake, Jordan, Justin, Clint, Levi, Maximum, Megatroid, Miss Muso, Not Enough Dog, Radmac, Retro Man, Sajin, Scotty, Shane, Shauna, Snakematic, Spinning the Jet, Super Hybrid, Swaggy Taco Fish, Psycho Mantis, Thomas Turtle, Unbedavable, and Zion. Thanks so much for your support.
Tins, do you want anybody to find you online, and if so, where?
You can just find me in the NGP Discord, Tins, or some variation of the handle Tins. Yeah, just find me there.
You can find us on our social media, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube. The links are in the show notes. Listen directly on any podcast provider of your choice. Make sure you subscribe so that you are the first to get new NGP episodes. And while you're at it, please leave a kind rating and review. Our episode artwork was created by our friend Dave. Our video episode was edited by our friend Dylan. Our audio episode was edited and produced by our friend Dan Willett. Join us next week as we play Wendy Every Which Way. Until then, I'm still on guard.
I'm still the spider.
I'll see you guys next week.
Who are you, Tens?
Swashbuckling Tins.
And this has been New Game Plus.